Banking is one of the problems people mention the most often when it comes to residency in Paraguay, and my answer is always the same. If you don't have good banking, it's because you don't have the right information and strategy. Already in ancient Roman times, they used to say, exempla utiliora quam consilia, meaning examples are more useful than advice. And so, let's see some practical examples. In this video, we'll see exactly how my banking works, and we'll see some also good suggestions that have been made by other people in our exclusive clients community. My banking setup is divided into three main aspects: the business accounts of Paraguay pathways, the personal bank accounts abroad, and the personal bank accounts in Paraguay. Let's start with the business accounts. For those who don't know, Paraguay Pathways is a company registered as a permanent establishment in Paraguay of a US LLC. This allows us to be compliant here from a tax perspective, but at the same time allows us to have a much better access to business bank accounts. Our most important business bank account is linked to Mercury, which is also the bank account connected to our Stripe for all the subscription services such as the proof of address in Paraguay or the RUC accounting management. It's a very famous bank for those who have a US LLC, especially a non-resident one, even though technically it's not really a bank. In fact, it relies on Choice Financial Group, which provides the backbone banking services. Thanks to Mercury, we have a physical debit card and a physical credit card, which usually stays at our operational office downtown in Asunción for the expenses of the team that handles the residency documents. Mercury is easy to open, especially when you have an invitation link. If you need one, I'll also put ours below in the video description. This is because having an invitation link allows you to skip the approval queue, and acceptance rate is extremely higher compared to those who aren't invited. I'm not saying that, it's their official website that says that. I'll be honest, precisely because Mercury is a bank we've had a long-standing relationship with, where we've already moved a lot of volume, we have multiple client invitations active, they've also enabled international transfers for us and so on. Honestly, at this moment, I don't feel the need for major diversification. For this reason, we basically only have two backup accounts for our LLC. One is onesafe.io, which I use a lot and highly recommend, especially for those who want an account for their LLC that can receive fiat and send crypto or vice versa. You pay just 0.1% to convert fiat into crypto directly inside your bank account. And here you can request a card, although not enabled for ATM withdrawals. For those who want to take a look, the site is onesafe.io and the opening procedure is quite simple, although the approval times are pretty long. In my case, it took over 3 weeks. And lastly, we use Meru. This bank is our joker because it can be used for everything. We can receive and send fiat or crypto, it offers both euro and dollar coordinates, but basically the main reason we use it is to receive euros with a European account that has its own IBAN. Moreover, it's very advantageous that from here you can send funds directly to Paraguay, something I will make a separate video on because Meru with this feature is really changing the way international banking operations to Paraguay are done. Meru is a fintech born in Colombia and works in a particular way because its entire infrastructure is based on Web 3.0. In practice, all your funds are held as USDC on the Stellar blockchain, and all operations you perform are actually managed through USDC in the backend. But what you see is that you can send and receive fiat transfers, very normal, both incoming and outgoing, with bank coordinates both in Europe and in the United States. So you have very high, almost total freedom, but at the same time, you have access to all the classic payment systems. Quickly mentioning them, we also use Stripe as a payment processor and Payoneer as a backup. Payoneer is both the backup of the Euro bank account, because it also offers euros, British pounds, and Australian dollars, along as, of course, US dollars, and also the backup of Stripe, because it can also be used as a payment processor. All my business bank accounts, except Mercury, are at zero. Everything that comes in immediately comes out and moves to a personal level, while Mercury is the bank account that's used to manage the company's cash flow. That one, of course, cannot stay at zero simply because we need to have enough liquidity to allow to run the company between rents, salaries, new investments, and so on. Internationally, my biggest personal bank account is with Intesa Sanpaolo in Italy, followed by Tower Bank, Meru, and Duquescovi. Intesa Sanpaolo is this huge Italian bank where I have a cash-in account and where I also keep the money for emergencies, the rainy day fund, to which I dedicate, in my case, the equivalent of 5 times my monthly expenses. As I always say, I don't need to be afraid to have a bank account in my country of origin because my setup is done right, and yours should be as well. Intesa is obviously aware of my residence in Paraguay, which is duly indicated in the account. They never call me, never write anything, never ask anything, and so I'm very, very happy with their service. Normally, the money coming from the LLC goes directly into Intesa Sanpaolo, where it can be allocated to one of these 4 things: international investments, emergency fund, if it needs to be filled, transfer to Paraguay, or transfer to Tower Bank. Tower Bank is the bank I use for daily expenses, especially taking advantage of the fact that there are no conversion fees on currency. This means that when I pay in Guarani, for instance, the bank applies the current market exchange rate between the dollar and the Guarani without any markup. I send 1,000 or 2,000 euros from Intesa Sanpaolo to Tower Bank and then use the card for things like lunch, tennis court rental, pharmacy, supermarket, and so on, and when the money runs out, I send another transfer from Intesa Sanpaolo to reload the account. Mero is the bank I use to do personal banking in crypto, to pay with Pix when I go to Brazil, and recently it has also become my reference bank for moving small amounts of money from my personal accounts in Paraguay. In fact, it allows you to send transfers to a bank in Paraguay in a rather unique way, where the transfer that arrives at your Paraguayan bank is not international, but local. So, if I send money from Mero to my Bueno account, for example, the money arrives to Bueno from a Paraguayan company called dLocal, which is a kind of Stripe of Paraguay, and not directly from Mero. This way, you avoid all the problems we know when trying to move foreign origin funds to Paraguay. Finally, Dukascopy is not even a bank I use much, even though it's an excellent bank with a fully valid Swiss banking license. It's an option I've mentioned in other videos as well, which allows you to open an online account with no minimum deposit. When you have little money in the account, it behaves like a pure fintech. But when you start accumulating liquidity and investments, you can receive personal banking service with high-profile credit cards and concierge service available. Also, in this case, it's a very crypto-friendly bank with the possibility to activate various cards in the account in different currencies, and again it offers a debit card called Travel that applies no currency conversion fees. By the way, it took them just a week to send the card from Switzerland to Paraguay. That's real Swiss efficiency. Dukascopy mainly serves as a backup for Tower Bank and for Mero, even though it's really unlikely that Mero and Tower Bank will freeze or close your account, and so, in fact, I almost never use it. However, I'm thinking in the coming months to moving part of my safety cushion into Swiss francs, and I'll probably use Dukascopy for that. Last category, Paraguayan bank accounts. I have Itaú Private Banking, which is a very well-done service, reserved for those who have at least $50,000 in their Itaú account or have a monthly statements below a certain threshold. Currently, I think it's an average of 20 million guaranis per month as an average of the last 12 months of your tax returns. This gives me access to lounges worldwide with priority pass, allows me to have a personal banker to contact for anything, and above all, allows me to be assisted without queues on WhatsApp or in exclusive Itaú branch offices without having to spend hours waiting at counters. This is the account I use for large transactions in Paraguay, such as real estate investments, loans, and so on. For smaller things and also to collect discounts, I use Bueno. I simply don't like mixing large bank movements with daily little expenses, and so, as I do with Tower Bank and Intesa, I apply the same distinction here. That said, I'm not a big fan of keeping liquidity in checking accounts, and I don't really understand those people who want to have 8,000 bank accounts everywhere. On the one hand, services like Schwab and Interactive Brokers are perfect for investing money in the stock and bond market and love working with Paraguay residents. So, for stock investments, I always use those two, much more Interactive Brokers to be honest. For investing or operating in the crypto world, I use both Bybit internationally and X4T, the local cryptocurrency exchange we have regulated by the central bank here in Paraguay. And finally, as you know, I'm investing and aim to invest more and more in the local real estate market in Asunción. What's the point of having lots of money sitting there losing value due to inflation? I honestly don't understand those who just sit and watch while they lose money. Moreover, the one that is printed massively by some central bank, while it stays in your account, eroding the real purchasing power of your wealth. Of course, you still need some money for daily expenses and unforeseen events, but my philosophy is that money must go and work for me. Speaking of goals and ambitions, I would like to optimize my banking setup even more, and I've given myself 1 year from the publication date of this video to complete my setup with 2 important moves. The first is to go physically to the United States to open a bank account at Chase, something very easy to do that we've already helped several clients to achieve, while I still haven't found the time to go and settle this matter personally. The second thing I want to do is to go and open all possible bank accounts in Paraguay to collect discounts from all banks. Here, almost all restaurants, shops, gyms and so on are affiliated with some bank, where they give you very high discounts. We're talking 20, 30, sometimes even 40% if you pay with the credit card that's affiliated with that local shop. This also takes time, but I promise one day I'll do it and I'll do a dedicated video about it. Before we say goodbye, I want to collect some interesting comments made by other members of our private clients community. Let's see them? Vamos! Pietro Italian tells us that with a minimum deposit of $50,000, you can open entirely online HSBC Uruguay, which is definitely a great choice for Paraguay residents who want a large traditional bank account that can be held also in euros, dollars and British pounds. Then we have Bart from Poland, and it is one of the most radical cases, having gone as far as to Cambodia to open a bank account in a non-CRS jurisdiction that would allow him to deposit crypto proceeds without any limits or problems. Moreover, Cambodia, like Paraguay, has very little banking sharing information policies, and it allows a much easier access to banking services for non-residents. Then we have Yannick from Canada, who has obtained permanent residency through the investment route by depositing 1 Bitcoin into a Xapo bank account. And of course, this is a crypto-friendly bank based in Gibraltar that I absolutely consider excellent. Brian from Australia recommends us Ugly Cash, which is very similar to Meru, and I intended to open it because it's practically a copy of Meru, and everything that looks like a copy of Meru right now catches my attention a lot. Andre from Brazil suggests AirWallex, of course a very popular bank account for LLCs based in Singapore, which is one of the best jurisdictions in the world for financial services. I want to point out that compared to a similar video we published last year, everything has significantly improved. There are more valid bank accounts for non-resident LLCs. There are more international bank accounts that accept residents of Paraguay for personal bank accounts, and it has become easier than ever and more logical to open a solid bank account at a local bank here in Paraguay. Let me know if you want a video where I explain step by step how to secure top bank accounts here in Paraguay with international transactions enabled. I know that many of you are still almost completely excluded from the financial system or still cannot get good checking and savings account in Paraguay, which doesn't matter to those who only maintain their tax residency here but live abroad, while it's very limiting for those who actually want to live and invest here. In the meantime, as always, that's all from Asuncion for today. See you in Paraguay.